For some of us, solitude is a state we aspire to when we are searching for peace and quiet. For others, loneliness often seems like a shadow lurking around the corner of our busy lives, waiting to descend every time the noise fades into silence. Loneliness is a silent tenant that dwells in the depths of our being, often hidden behind the facade of a seemingly full social life. Even though we surround ourselves with people and activities, the feeling of emptiness can arise at any time, like a tide that slowly recedes, exposing the rocks of our loneliness. But to what extent can loneliness become an obstacle to our happiness and personal growth? Loneliness is often disguised as a fear of vulnerability, rejection, or insignificance. It's a feeling that can paralyze us and prevent us from making authentic connections with others. However, by facing our fears and embracing loneliness as a natural part of life, we can discover inner strength and a greater appreciation for the relationships we have. In this video, we will explore the dark side of loneliness from the perspective of Stoicism, an ancient philosophy that invites us to live in harmony with nature and with those around us. Stoicism invites us to reimagine loneliness. Instead of seeing it as a void to fill, he conceives it as fertile ground to cultivate self-knowledge. It is in the stillness of solitude where we can hear our inner voice most clearly, where distractions fade away and we are able to connect with our deepest values. This interior space, far from being a place of isolation, becomes a laboratory for personal growth, where we can reflect on our experiences, develop our strengths and overcome our weaknesses. Stoics like Seneca and Marcus Aurelius not only endured loneliness, but embraced it as an essential part of their lives. They taught that true peace does not come from external praise or achievements, but from cultivating an internal source of resilience and wisdom. Understanding loneliness. The Stoics see loneliness not as an imposition of fate, but as a choice we can make to enrich our lives. This perspective turns the daunting concept of loneliness on its head. Instead of an ordeal to be avoided at all costs, it becomes a valuable space to reconnect with our deepest selves. By voluntarily removing ourselves from the daily hustle and bustle, we create space for introspection and reflection. In this inner retreat, we can develop greater resistance to external difficulties and cultivate an inner peace that is independent of circumstances. Solitude, far from being a state to avoid, becomes a refuge where we can reconnect with our true nature. While loneliness may seem like a negative state, the Stoics contrast it with true misery, which arises from dependence on external factors for our happiness. Solitude, on the contrary, frees us from these ties and allows us to find satisfaction in our own being. It is like a vast and deep ocean, which invites us to explore its depths and discover the hidden treasures that lie within us. On this journey, we will delve into the recesses of loneliness, exploring how this often feared and misunderstood state can become a crucible of personal transformation. We will discover how solitude, far from being a void, can be a fertile space for self-discovery, introspection, and spiritual growth. We will see how the Stoic practice of self-examination, reflection, and focusing on what we can control rather than what we cannot prepares us to face any of life's challenges with a calm mind and a steady heart. The Stoic approach to loneliness also involves recognizing the value of our connections with others. For the Stoics, the art of living is not just about personal tranquility, but also about contributing to the community and living in harmony with others, while learning to appreciate the silence of being alone. We also come to value the moments we share with others and find a balanced way to thrive in both scenarios as we move forward in today's discussion. Keep in mind that loneliness, according to the Stoics, is more than a simple state of isolation. It is a unique opportunity to delve into the depths of oneself, to cultivate self-awareness and self-discipline. By removing ourselves from the hustle and bustle of social life, we can develop a more intimate relationship with our thoughts and emotions, allowing us to better understand our nature and values. This deep introspection facilitates personal growth and emotional maturity. Stoic philosophy invites us to reconceptualize loneliness as a state of emotional independence and an opportunity for personal growth. By cultivating the ability to find satisfaction in our own company, we free ourselves from the need to seek external validation and strengthen our resilience. Solitude, far from being an imposed isolation, is a conscious choice that allows us to connect with our deepest essence and find our place in the universe. It is an opportunity for introspection and self-reflection. Marcus Aurelius valued solitude as a time to converse with oneself, reinforcing the idea that personal reflection strengthens character. Nowhere can man find a quieter place or retreat than in his own soul. This perspective highlights solitude as a positive and constructive experience in which one can interact with one's inner thoughts and feelings without distractions. In contrast, loneliness is often characterized by feelings of isolation and sadness. When one feels disconnected from others, despite the desire for companionship, loneliness is perceived negatively because it represents a barrier to happiness and fulfillment. Aristotle emphasizes the social nature of human beings, arguing that a fulfilling life requires friendships and social interactions, suggesting that man is by nature a social animal. This view aligns with modern psychology that often links chronic loneliness to various mental health problems, including depression and anxiety. Stoic virtues and solitude. Seneca challenges us to transform loneliness from a burden into a source of strength. By choosing solitude, we not only cultivate independence and self-sufficiency, but we also get closer to the essence of Stoic philosophy. Just as an athlete trains in solitude to achieve excellence, we can use solitude to strengthen our character and develop inner wisdom that allows us to face any challenge. Seneca once said, "All men should be alone, not to live alone by mere chance, but by choice." From a Stoic perspective, this reflection encourages us to see solitude as an exercise of virtue. Instead of fearing it, the Stoics teach us to use it as a training ground for the mind, where we can develop self-discipline, patience, and inner strength. Epictetus focuses on the distinction between what is under our control and what is not. It does not teach that external circumstances, such as the presence or absence of people, should not dictate our inner peace. Men do not worry about things, but about the vision they have of them. This Stoic principle helps reframe loneliness by suggesting that it is not the state of being alone that concerns us, but rather our perception of it. The anguish we experience when faced with loneliness does not reside in loneliness itself, but in the interpretation we make of it. The Stoics invite us to examine our thoughts and beliefs about isolation. Are we seeing loneliness as a punishment, a failure, or an opportunity for growth? By changing our perspective, we can transform our experience of loneliness. By integrating these philosophical perspectives, it is clear that loneliness, when experienced consciously and not as forced isolation, can become a powerful catalyst for personal development. While loneliness can be challenging, embracing it with a Stoic mindset, focusing on personal virtues and control over one's responses, can transform it from a negative force to a profound teacher. Solitude, when experienced intentionally, can be a valuable tool for personal growth. By embracing solitude with an open and curious mind, we can discover a rich and complex inner world and emerge from this experience as stronger, wiser, and more compassionate people. When loneliness is embraced, it becomes a beloved ally in the search for wisdom and self-understanding, leaving room for personal growth that is difficult to achieve in the constant company of others. By understanding loneliness with clarity and insight from both Stoic and Western wisdom, philosophy can empower people to navigate these states with grace and resilience, ultimately leading to a more balanced and introspective life. Being alone does not mean feeling isolated. Embracing solitude is an invitation to an introspective journey, an opportunity to cultivate Stoic virtues. It is a time to deepen our inner wisdom, strengthen our courage in the face of adversity, hone our sense of justice, and moderate our desires. Solitude, far from being a void, is fertile ground in which to sow the seeds of significant personal growth and a great opportunity to commit to the Stoic virtues of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Stoicism, a philosophy based on self-mastery through rational thought and emotional resilience, provides a unique perspective on how loneliness can serve as fertile ground for personal growth. Stoic wisdom involves a deep understanding of the nature of the world and our place within it. Solitude gives us the space to reflect on our experiences and the values that guide us. It allows for introspection, a key component in the development of wisdom, where one can contemplate life's challenges and reactions without the noise of constant social interaction. This reflective practice is not about retreating for its own sake, but rather using time alone to gain insights that are difficult to gain in the hustle and bustle of everyday life. Courage, another Stoic virtue, is often associated with bravery in the face of physical danger, but it also encompasses the moral strength needed to confront inner fears and vulnerabilities. Loneliness challenges us to confront parts of ourselves that we would rather ignore: our uncertainties, our failures, and our fears. The Stoic practice of examining one's life and making decisions aligned with one's ethical beliefs, decisions that often require going against the grain, requires courage. Solitude provides the peace of mind to listen to our own thoughts and the courage to follow them, even when they lead us down paths less traveled. Justice in Stoicism is not just about our interactions with others, it is also about being fair to ourselves. Making sure we treat ourselves fairly and kindly can sometimes be more difficult than extending that kindness to others. Solitude gives us the opportunity to evaluate whether we are living in harmony with our principles and whether we are being fair to ourselves and others. Our pursuit of a good life encourages us to think about our social roles and whether we are fulfilling them with integrity and goodwill. Temperance or moderation is perhaps most directly tested in times of solitude. Without immediate feedback and influence from others, we are left to regulate our own desires and impulses. Solitude offers the space to practice this self-regulation, whether it involves moderating our emotions, our use of time, or our responses to emphasize the ease of being alone. Learn to balance our immediate reactions with the long-term pursuit of our goals. By practicing Stoic restraint and ensuring our actions align with our deepest values. Solitude, when approached with a Stoic mindset, transforms from mere physical time alone into a dynamic space. It is a time when we can reset our intentions, refine our thoughts, and strengthen our character. This introspective process is not just about finding peace in being alone, but about strengthening our ability to engage with the world in a more thoughtful, balanced, and ethical way. Through solitude, we can discover not only who we are, but also who we aspire to be, drawing on the Stoic virtues to guide our journey. Transform loneliness into a constructive experience. The Stoics maintained that solitude, far from being a punishment, is a unique opportunity to cultivate virtue. By transforming our perception of loneliness, we can turn it into a crucible in which to forge our inner strength. The key lies in our ability to reorient our mind, to see loneliness not as a void, but as a fertile space for personal and spiritual growth. Stoic philosophy recognizes that loneliness is an inherent part of the human condition. However, the Stoics invite us not to succumb to hopelessness or isolation. Instead of resisting loneliness, we can learn to embrace it as a constant companion. By changing our perspective, we can transform this seemingly negative experience into a source of wisdom and strength. Loneliness is not a sentence, but a choice. We can choose to see loneliness as a punishment or as an opportunity. The perspective we adopt will determine our experience. By changing our perspective, we can transform a burden into a driving force for personal growth. Approached with Stoic principles, the first step in this transformation is to embrace Stoicism's fundamental concept of focusing on what is within our control. It's a common human reaction when we feel lonely to blame external circumstances, missing loved ones, longing for deep conversations, or simply feeling the lack of company. However, the Stoics invite us to go deeper beyond these initial reactions. In doing so, we may discover that the root of our loneliness often lies in our own internal perceptions and attitudes. The Stoics invite us to cultivate an interior garden. Instead of being overwhelmed by external factors beyond our control, we are encouraged to focus on what we can influence, our thoughts, emotions, and actions. By doing so, we strengthen our resilience, and find lasting inner peace. Stoics see challenges such as loneliness, not as obstacles that bring us down, but as sources of strength. By facing loneliness, we cultivate emotional resilience, transforming pain into an opportunity to grow. Patience, endurance, and fortitude are developed as you navigate these turbulent waters, forging a stronger and more adaptable character. By doing so, we can maintain a level of tranquility despite external circumstances. This does not mean suppressing feelings of loneliness, but rather recognizing them and using them as a starting point for deeper self-reflection and understanding. Additionally, Stoicism encourages us to practice mindfulness and gratitude in moments of loneliness. Mindfulness is a transformative practice that invites us to live fully in the present. By cultivating present moment awareness, we reduce the influence of negative thoughts and painful emotions that often isolate us. This allows us to connect more deeply with ourselves and with others, promoting a greater sense of well-being and belonging. Mindfulness teaches us to accept our experiences as they are, without judging them, freeing us from the burden of the past and worries about the future. Gratitude is a powerful catalyst that transforms our reality, shifting the focus from scarcity to abundance. By cultivating a grateful attitude, we not only experience greater happiness, but we also attract more things to be grateful for. The Stoics, teachers of virtue, understood the importance of gratitude to achieve happiness. By recognizing that many things are out of our control, gratitude allows us to focus on what we can value: relationships, health, nature, and the small joys of daily life. This practice helps us accept what is and find contentment in the present, and can dramatically change our emotional landscape by making solitude a time to appreciate the value of our lives. Solitude, far from being a punishment, is a unique opportunity to cultivate virtue, explore nature, take care of our mental and physical health, and expand our knowledge. By transforming this time into a space of introspection and growth, we can emerge from loneliness with greater wisdom, resilience, and connection to ourselves and the world around us. Both Seneca, advisor to Roman emperors, and Marcus Aurelius, himself an emperor, found a refuge in solitude to escape the pressures and responsibilities of their positions. In their hours of solitude, these Stoics dedicated themselves to philosophy, a practice that allowed them to cultivate virtue and find a deeper meaning in life. His reflections, born in a historical context so different from ours, remain relevant today as they address timeless questions about human nature and the destiny of man. We can use our own periods of solitude to engage in similar practices: reading, writing, or any form of creative expression that enriches the mind and soul. These activities not only distract from the immediate pains of loneliness, but also contribute to our overall sense of purpose and self-esteem. Solitude may be challenging, but Stoicism offers a powerful set of tools to turn these experiences into profound periods of personal growth and self-discovery. By focusing on what we control, practicing emotional resilience, and engaging in reflective and creative activities, we can transform loneliness from a state of despair to one of empowerment and self-actualization. The social aspect of Stoicism. One of the fundamental pillars of Stoicism lies in the development of virtues such as self-sufficiency and emotional resilience. The Stoics teach us to find happiness and inner peace regardless of external circumstances, to be masters of our own minds and not to let external events disturb us. However, this philosophical individualism does not imply social isolation. On the contrary, Stoics recognize and deeply value the social ties that bind us to others. The virtue of justice, one of the four cardinals of Stoicism, drives us to act equitably and in solidarity with our fellow human beings. Stoic philosophy teaches us that we are social beings by nature, and that our happiness is intrinsically linked to the happiness of those around us. This philosophy does not advocate total seclusion, but rather promotes a harmony between individual development and community obligations. That is, it invites you to cultivate yourself without neglecting collective well-being, recognizing that both aspects are interdependent and enrich the human experience. The Stoics, with their deep belief in universal reason, advocated a radical cosmopolitanism. For them, humanity is part of an ordered and rational cosmos, where all human beings share the same nature and destiny. This vision led them to consider every person as a citizen of the world, regardless of their origin or condition, since we are all part of the same cosmic community, governed by the same natural laws. Grounded in mutual respect and moral kinship, this perspective emphasizes the importance of social connections and our responsibilities toward others. The Stoics deeply valued human relationships. They believed that we are social beings by nature and that we need others to fully develop. Just like plants need sunlight and water to grow, we need human connections to nourish our soul. The wise Seneca explained it well when he said, "Nature has made us social and therefore has endowed us with a language and the ability to teach and learn. Engaging meaningfully with our community is not just a social duty, it is a crucial part of living a virtuous life." By contributing to the well-being of others, we not only fulfill a moral obligation, but we also find deeper satisfaction and purpose in our lives. Justice, one of the 4 cardinal virtues in Stoicism, plays a central role in how Stoics view social interactions. It involves treating others with fairness and empathy, striving to understand their perspectives, and acting with integrity toward everyone. This virtue guides us to consider not only our own needs, but also the needs of others, also fostering a spirit of cooperation and mutual support. Stoicism teaches that our character and virtues are often developed and tested through our relationships with others. Interactions with family, friends, and even strangers provide opportunities to practice patience, kindness, and understanding, essential qualities for any Stoic. These relationships act as a mirror that reflects our strengths and weaknesses and offer an opportunity for continuous personal improvement. Participating in the community can also help mitigate the feelings of loneliness discussed above. The Stoics would advise us to reach out, participate in community activities, and volunteer our time and skills. These actions not only break the cycle of isolation, but also reinforce our connection to the world at large, reminding us of our role and place within it in practical terms. Taking the Stoic approach to social interactions means actively choosing empathy over indifference, contribution over withdrawal, and understanding over judgment. It's about recognizing that while solitude can be valuable for reflection and personal growth, our social commitments are equally important for testing and applying our philosophical ideals in real life. This balance between solitude and social participation is what really sums up the Stoic lifestyle, making it as relevant today as it was in ancient times. Solitude and company are 2 sides of the same coin. By understanding the importance of both, we can live a fuller and more satisfying life. The Stoics invite us to cultivate the virtue of sociability while maintaining a deep connection with ourselves. The dangers of distancing. The Stoics recognize solitude as a valuable crucible for introspection and personal development. However, they warn that excessive isolation can be counterproductive. True Stoic wisdom lies in finding a balance between solitary introspection and social connections, both of which are essential to a full and virtuous life. Stoicism invites us to cultivate the ability to be alone without feeling alone, and to take advantage of moments of solitude to strengthen our character and deepen our understanding of the world and ourselves. While Stoicism celebrates solitude as a space for reflection, it also recognizes the dangers of prolonged isolation that can lead to alienation, lack of empathy, and a distorted view of reality. The Stoics argue that human beings are social beings by nature, and that our relationships with others are fundamental to our well-being and development. Therefore, loneliness should be seen as a tool for personal growth, not as an end in itself. Completely isolating ourselves from others goes against our social essence, generating a deep emotional imbalance. Prolonged lack of human connection can intensify feelings of loneliness, triggering a cascade of psychological problems such as depression, anxiety, and even suicidal thoughts. These mental disorders not only affect our mood, but can also compromise our ability to function in daily life. Social connection is a fundamental pillar for our comprehensive well-being. By depriving ourselves of these vital interactions, we are putting our physical and mental health at risk. Prolonged loneliness can trigger a series of physiological and psychological reactions that weaken our immune system and increase susceptibility to chronic diseases. Additionally, a lack of social support can make it difficult to recover from illnesses and injuries. Stoicism urges us to cultivate a clear and calm perception of our reality. However, prolonged isolation can cloud this judgment. By distancing ourselves from others, we lose the opportunity to contrast our experiences and beliefs, which can lead to developing a biased and unrealistic view of our circumstances. Social interaction, according to the Stoics, is essential for refining our judgment and maintaining a balanced perspective. When we are isolated from regular social interactions, our view of social norms and behaviors can become distorted. Community feedback is essential to ensure that political and social decisions are rooted in people's real needs and concerns. Without this feedback, it is easy for leaders and decision-makers to develop policies that are disconnected from reality and do not address the most pressing problems. The lack of diversity of perspectives can lead to simplistic and ineffective solutions, which often exacerbate inequalities and social tensions. The Stoics would argue that balancing solitude with social engagement is crucial. They advocate using periods of solitude to strengthen our inner resilience and virtues, but they also emphasize the importance of applying these virtues in the broader context of community life. Engaging with others allows us to practice virtues such as empathy, justice, and temperance in real-world settings, testing and refining our character in practical terms. To mitigate the risks of estrangement, Stoicism offers a proactive approach. Maintain and foster meaningful, supportive relationships and participate in community activities that align with our values. By continually seeking to understand and connect with the world around us, we not only enrich our own lives, but we also contribute positively to the lives of others. It is in this way that we can fulfill the fundamental Stoic duty of living in accordance with nature, which inherently includes social interaction. While solitude can be a powerful tool for personal growth, it is crucial to remain alert to the dangers of distancing. Striving to strike a balance between personal reflection and active social participation is how we can reap the benefits of both solitude and community. This balance will maintain our mental health and ensures that our opinions and behaviors remain based in reality. As we navigate the ebbs and flows of life, loneliness, and social bonds, remember that the Stoic path is one of balance. Value quiet moments of self-reflection as much as the connections that bind us to our community. Excessive seeking solitude can have negative consequences. Lack of social interaction can lead to isolation, depression, and loss of meaning. The Stoics warn us about the dangers of excessive self-sufficiency and remind us that happiness is not found in complete autonomy, but in the balance between our individual needs and those of the community. Stoicism teaches us to find the balance between solitude and company. Solitude can be an opportunity for introspection and personal growth, but it should not become an escape from reality. The key is to cultivate authentic and meaningful relationships while preserving our personal space. Solitude, far from being a state to avoid, becomes a journey into our interior, a sacred space where we can reconnect with our deepest essence and cultivate the wisdom that lies in our hearts. By redefining loneliness as a gift rather than a burden, this perspective invites us to embrace moments of stillness and reflection as opportunities for personal growth and spiritual connection. Thank you for joining me on this journey today. I hope you found this exploration enriching. If you consider it, give us a like and subscribe to the channel so you can stay up to date with all our content. I invite you to continue growing together, delving deeper into the wisdom of timeless Stoic philosophy.